Bengals fans are amazing. They're resilient, they're tough, but they're fun. And I'm really excited to hopefully meet a lot more of you.
Isaac has the big game. Then we became a real balanced offense for the playoff run, which I thought was really important.
He put on the greatest route running exhibition I have ever seen in my life.
He was football 24/7, and that was the greatest part of Chad.
At times, the early part, I would tell him when we were throwing deep passes, I said, don't wait too long, because I'm going to get away. If you ain't going to have the arm to get there. So, I want to run to the ball,
Well, Duke, looks like Duke's in the waiting room. I don't want to keep Duke waiting. He gave us a very limited amount of time. I know he's a busy man. Duke, what's going on, big dog? How you doing, buddy?
Jim, how are you, man? Thanks for having me on. Yeah,
Hey.
I'm real busy. I'm sitting on my porch.
Yeah, well, hey. Have a little drink going on there.
Joe Burrow has played in big games his entire life, and I would think he will be a steady hand at the bow of the ship. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if they take him all the way to the Super Bowl. I really wouldn't.
Well, hello, everybody. Here we are on what is unfortunately a sad Tuesday. The 2022-2023 season has unfortunately come to an end. Not the joyous celebration we had leaving Arrowhead Stadium on Sunday night, despite, what was it, the largest TV audience to watch a NFL game in years, somewhere over like 11% over last year. And while we had a good time leading up to the game Sunday, wasn't such a good time leaving the stadium. Before we talk about the Kansas City experience, Tom, tell us about watching at home and your thoughts.
I'm done with Tony Romo. That would be the first thing, after hearing about Superman quarterbacking the Bills last week. This week it was the Wizard. So, but no, it was a great game. It was a game we could have won. I don't know necessarily that the Bengals should have won, but it could very easily have won. All the criticisms of the refs are completely justified, and I'm mystified how every single call seemed to go against the Bengals in that situation. But we're there, and we play the Steelers twice a year. Typically, a team only gets that kind of favorable treatment from the gentleman and the stripes, if you're a Steeler. But this week it went to the Chiefs. Wasn't the reason the Bengals lost during this fantastic 10-game winning streak. We had guys that did not play as well as they had been playing. Some played good, some played very good, and then just had single bad plays. I'm not, as upset as some with Joseph Asai. He's going to be a great player for this team, hopefully for many, many years. And I know the fans probably have his back. But no, overall, you have to be proud of this team and proud of these last 2 years. These are the glory days of Bengaldom have been the last 2 years. I mean, the Super Bowl run last year, and the great team, the special team this year, coming back and wheeling off 10 straight wins. So while we're not satisfied, I don't think we have any reason at all to be unhappy with the team, the players, or anything. We'll talk more about it later, but what this group has done for this city is nothing short of amazing. No other entity in this town could have done it.
No, we're certainly sad. We see that in the comments there from our viewers, and as always, we appreciate everyone that tunes in. We're hoping for a couple more weeks. I think you can look at the three offensive starters that finally caught up to us there on Sunday night. As you alluded to, Tom, some guys didn't have their best game. Losing Tyler Boyd, I think, was another element that hurt us. And, the guys in stripes certainly did not help out the cause. Tony, do you want to talk about the game a little bit, or should we just go back and kind of recap the fun stuff that led up to the heartbreak on Sunday night?
Yeah, as from a game perspective, we put ourselves in that position. I think, even though the refs had some bad calls, still we didn't play to our best ability. I don't think, our offensive line struggled a little bit as well. So, overall, we did what we could. Great year. I don't think there's any issues or worries that, for the next many, many years, we will be a team to contend with and a team that they're going to need to prepare for. So looking forward to us getting back to that level.
Let's go back and talk about, leading up to the game. As we've done and become a tradition here the last couple of years, we were fortunate enough to host a Saturday night party in the Power and Light District, which is a big entertainment district in downtown Kansas City. It was a great get together as fans got into town, some Friday, some earlier, some Saturday, and came right there. And, at the end, I think there was probably 1,000 Bengals fans in and out of the doors of the PBR bar, and probably thousands more down on the first floor that couldn't get tickets. So as always, Bengals fans showed up in full force, full of energy, excitement, all that good stuff. And nothing like just jumping on, Jimmy, right in the middle. We're putting you off the screen. You're the penalty box for being late. All right, let's think about that. Right back in the penalty box he is. We're going to play this video here of Saturday night here. This was courtesy of Craig, and then we'll allow the namesake to come on and talk. So here's a little bit of Saturday night's party leading up to so that was simply 1,000 Bengals fans overtook PBR bar, fans from all over the country that flew in, drove in, trained in, however they got in. All right, Jimmy, we'll let you on now. You want to add anything about our Saturday night party at the PBR bar?
Yeah, just I'll tell you, Tony and I were up on stage. I know you were like being the bouncer up front, making sure that security was tight entering the building. But Tony and I just kept looking at each other, just saying, this is freaking awesome. I mean, it was just amazing to have all the former players that were in attendance, including Pac-Man, Joe Kelly, Ickey Woods, Bengal Bids being there, existing players' families showing up. And then both mayors of Kansas City and Cincinnati showing up, kind of making amends and kind of somewhat apologizing for some of their comments that they had made earlier in the week. And I really, to be honest, both of them needed to do that. I wish the media was allowed inside the event that night because they did a really good job recovering, but the media didn't get a chance to get that because there was no media allowed in that venue. But what a night, just watching all the Bengal fans have fun together, even the ones that couldn't get in the event that night, James. It was I had so much fun. I think everybody else did as well.
We did. There was a mechanical bull there. There's some videos that cannot be released of some Bengals fans that were on that mechanical bull. And, you saw, Jimmy, you said it. They did not allow the Cincinnati media in there. So any videos that you see were smuggled out, much like we tried to do with Jamie out of jail last weekend. Obviously, that didn't work. He's still not on the show. We still think he's in a Western New York penitentiary. We hope he's doing well. But, a fun night overall. You mentioned the mayor there. We blasted that picture up. You mentioned Joe Kelly. There's a Joe with the Tiger. Let's see. We got Harrison there. And you can just see the thousands of people in the background there at that PBR bar. My favorite part, just wait for Brandon to comment. They did not serve Bud Light in the place. It was Miller Lite, Coors, or like MGD. So that was my highlight. I think that is it. We'll save the other picture of the winner when Tony talks about the charity. But what a blast it was. You know, it's always hard to find a venue that will hold that many people, and fortunate enough, we were able to find that. And Craig, as always, using ticketing system, and a big chunk of money going to charity off that. So we appreciate everybody that showed up, and apologize again if you weren't able to get a ticket. So anything else on Saturday that so we don't have any more Mechanical Bull video?
You made a good point. Tony and I set the new record at PBR Live, that venue, for riding the bull for like 10 minutes. They couldn't shake us. So there is no video of that. Sorry, or we would play it, but they couldn't knock us off that bull. We knew what we were doing.
You said Tony and I both.
Well, not separate.
We were
times,
on the same time.
Separate
No wonder.
rides, Tom. Separate rides.
The bull might be dead.
Tony.
It was definitely separate. I will tell you that. Definitely separate.
Let's see. I'm going back and trying to read the comments here. Keep talking, and let's go ahead and segue it into the Sunday fun, Jimmy, leading up to the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was really fun. Saturday night, even after event, we thought we'd be heading back to the hotel, but there were literally, I don't know how many, but hundreds and hundreds of more Bengal fans outside the event in that common area at the Power and Light District there in Kansas City. People wanted to get in, but even if they didn't, they were hanging out outside together. There were so many, every one of those bars and restaurants were packed with Bengal fans. When you hear Kansas City fans saying, I've never seen this many Bengal fans in our city, or opposing fans in a city on a night before a game ever, that speaks volume to the number of Bengal fans that made that trip. It was just amazing.
All right, and I'm going to play, this will be a good segue. Let me play this next video. And this was taken early in the day, so this isn't even all the fans. But let me play this video of Sunday in the cold weather, very similar to the crowd that we had last year. Here's that video. So that was from the back looking forward. Like I said, that was pretty early in the day, and it just seems like as the day went on, just the crowd filled in more and more and surrounded the area.
Yeah. Tony, I mean, your thoughts on it, brother. I mean, I think you and I both were making comments again, even at the tailgate on that.
It was pretty amazing. You look to the left, you look to the right, and you couldn't see the end of it. So it was a huge crowd, great support from Bengal Nation, and they really came out to support us for sure.
Let's see. We got some
couple
more
fire pits. I think we had 500 bagels from Everything Bagel there in Eastgate, and 500 bags of bagel chips. And the trailer brought, we had, I think, almost 1,000 conies from Gold Star, and a trailer bought a bunch of pulled pork. All the beer was gone. I mean, you can't feed that many people. And that picture you see right there that James has up, that's not even the whole crowd. That is an amazing view right there.
I posted that on the Facebook page, and I figured somebody that was maybe retired or off work for the day, I asked if they could give us a count of how many people were in that picture. Because like you said, that wasn't even the whole wide angle. That was just kind of a shot that Kick took, our man Kick from Cincinnati Music Accelerator, as he was up on the top of the trailer, taking pictures, dancing, DJing, whatever he was doing. We see Sarah from Gold Star there with the Gold Star on one side. We had some Kansas City barbecue on the other, and it was just, I tell you what, it wasn't warm, it was cold, and Bengals fans showed out once again. So many people pitched in, as always. We did have a couple fire pits out there for people to stay warm, but it was an exciting afternoon for sure. What else am we forgetting, Tony, about Sunday pregame?
Sunday. Nothing, just had a good time. We had Mama T was there, said a few words, Zim, a couple other people that are on social media. So good turnout, all I can really say.
Yeah, good point, Tony. I mean, you had Zim there, Malik was there. Man, I'll tell you what, man, and it was so much fun. It was just all ages were there too. I was surprised to see so many little kids there. We got them up on stage, so let them say a couple Who Days. A couple little kids wanted to get up on stage and do the gritty. I was shocked to see that many little kids there at the game as well that were Bengal fans. But amazing time. And I've been traveling for 30 years to Bengal games, actually a little bit longer than that. I'll tell you, the last few years have been absolutely amazing. And I've never seen a fan base. I can only rival it to during the 90s. Our stadium would get invaded, and it would be awful to see all those opposing fans in there. This fan base, as it continues to grow and travel the way they do, we're really close to doing the same thing to a lot of NFL stadiums. When you got the Kansas City fans and the Kansas City ushers in the stadium, furious with how many Bengal fans are in the stadium, furious with the fans that sold their tickets. It's kind of fun to see, and it's kind of makes you proud to be a Bengals fan.
It was, and that's the way it's been, along this ride. It's been, we got word from the Western New York Penitentiary. Sorry, guys, can't get on. Stuck in a single cell tonight. Use my one phone call. Who day, everyone. Thanks for another great year.
Yeah, we're not giving up on him. We're not forgetting him. We're not giving up on him. We will use every recourse and resource we have. I think about the only two things left, though, James, unless you've got a couple magical strings to pull Bing from up there, is maybe we can get Dan Horter, Dave Lapham to put in a word to get him out.
Perhaps. We thought about him. Somebody put a $10 Canadian bill. It's a $10 Canadian bill in the tip money and said free Jamie with a donation money, not tip money, excuse me, donation money. Said free Jamie on it. So we've got to make that way over to the province of Ontario and put that towards his bail.
I was going to say, what does that $10 Canadian, what does that translate to us?
$2.42 American.
There we go. Okay. Well, every little bit helps, and it's a thought.
How much? Where's the go? Well, we're working on that. We're working on the GoFundMe. We're just one thing at a time. Let's see. Chris asks, how are the Kansas City fans? Yeah. I don't know. In our section, they got louder towards the end. They chirped a little during the game. And then I think, like everybody did, when we got that ball back, I guess this perfect segue into the game, when we got that ball back with however many minutes to go in the fourth quarter, we hit that 3rd and 16 to Hayden Hurst. And then what we had 50 plus seconds of 2 timeouts. I thought Joe was going to write one for the record books there. Unfortunately, it did not go as planned. So we'll continue with the game thoughts. As we mentioned early in the show, a lot of disappointed fans. So feel free to politely speak your mind, thoughts, sadness, and you have our shoulders to cry on.
You three being in the stadium, though, James, at Arrowhead, is the game stayed close? Even though maybe the Bengals were being outplayed and so forth. But the game, did you have a sense, just an absolute feeling of confidence that they're going to find a way? They're going to find a way to walk off this field as a winner.
Well, I remember saying at the end of the first quarter, there was 3-0, if I'm not mistaken, and say, if you hold Kansas City to 3 points, per quarter, shoot, we're going to have a pretty good chance. Let's also keep in mind the way the defense has performed 99% of the time coming out for the second half. I mean, we've just dominated those. And what was it? Was it 13-6 or 3 at halftime?
13-6.
13-6. So, being within a touchdown, had all the confidence in the world. Obviously, that came to fruition with T's touchdown there to tie it up. And, we were in it. Never doubted it per se. It's just at the end, didn't get the breaks, refs, whatever, holding, lack of linemen, injuries, whatever you want to attribute it to, probably a combination of everything. But, we came up a little bit short. I think a lot of people, maybe it was one of the news media on Saturday, mentioned a score prediction. And I think it said 27-21 or 27-20. which very well could have been the final score. Unfortunately, that last field goal changed that, but we're well on course, and I think that was one of the lowest point totals for Kansas City on the year to do that at home. And if you would have told me going into the game we would hold Kansas City 20, 23 points, I would have said, I'll take that all day.
Hey, look, I'd like to, if you don't mind, I know we talked about this a lot. Did you guys hit this before I got on?
Nope. Nope.
A little bit.
That was the most gut-wrenching thing I've ever seen a player go through. I mean, this guy played his ass off that whole game. And, again, a little overly aggressive young kid out there. I felt awful for him. I really did. And to see the players stick up for him, and I think Tom and I were talking about it earlier, just goes to show the culture that Zach Taylor has built there with this team and these players, man. It's just, man, that was just impressive to watch the players stick up for him and just be around him and console him during that time, man. It was crazy.
Yeah. And I think the one person they got a shout out was BJ Hill, I think, was there in that locker room post game trying to shield them. And I'm certainly not a UK fan, but John Calipari had a pretty good tweet after the game, basically mentioning how he felt for Osai, but commented on the togetherness or brotherhood of the locker room, and basically the team morale that Zach Taylor has put together, and was very fond of that. So that was good to see.
Well, you have to go ahead, Tony.
Zach's interview, he exactly said that too. It wasn't just everyone has a feeling, especially with a game like this, with the emotions as high as they were, that everyone has some second thoughts that they could have done something different, from the coaching staff, from Burrow to Osai. So we all felt that because we saw it in Osai's emotions. But I appreciated Zach saying that everyone had that feeling, from their own level, and what they could have done better to make a difference in the game.
Yeah, that was great. I think what was interesting, if everybody saw the Jermaine Pratt game over, they're walking through the tunnel to go to the locker room, and Jermaine Pratt says some things. To be honest, guys, I don't think there should be cameras and mics everywhere, because there's raw emotion after that, right? That happened. So he made a comment. Jermaine Pratt made a comment about Joseph Osai, about why would you touch the quarterback there? But I like how Jermaine Pratt did round back to that conversation and didn't necessarily apologize, but like, look, he's a young kid. This guy's been instrumental to our success. I think he's even the one I might have said that he's the one that ended the game against Kansas City earlier in the year with that game-winning sack. So for Pratt to come back and say that was a pretty cool thing. But they got him saying some pretty raw emotions right immediately after that game, going into that locker room. I hated that we got to hear that, but.
Mon brings up a good point. I think this was, a better team than what we saw last year. Unfortunately, the breaks didn't go our way. Carolyn, brings up a good point. He did apologize for that. As we know, he's a free agent. Was asked the question if he wanted to be back next year. That's a whole nother topic that we'll get into, is free agents on another show. Who's coming back? Who's not, who may be traded, who may be cut. But as Carolyn said, he definitely apologized. Unfortunately, his contract is up, and the front office is going to have some decisions to make this offseason.
Yeah, when Jeff pops in, there's nobody better to have on to ask those type of questions than Geoff Hobson, right, Tom?
Yeah, and that's part of the reason we're having Jeff here, is not necessarily to carve up Sunday's game, but to look to the future, because with these guys and the amount of fight that they have in them, the road to Las Vegas, where next year's Super Bowl is, started after the plane touched down here in Cincinnati. So, it's part of why we're having Jeff here. Looking back to Sunday, though, hats off to Kansas City. They overcame a lot. Their quarterback was not 100%. And, hey, let's face facts. Patrick Mahomes at 80% is a lot better than most of the quarterbacks in this league. He can still do fantastic stuff. They had a lot of injuries to their wide receivers, and they played through it. They had Chris Jones, which just goes to show that while the line was improved this year and we really missed our starters on Sunday, Aaron Donald ruined us in the Super Bowl last year. Chris Jones ruined us in the AFC Championship this year. And we have a much better line. We don't have a Super Bowl winning line yet. So that still needs attention. And conversely, on the opposite side of the ball, we've got a really good defense with some really good defenders, really good guys that can get after the passer. But we don't have a guy on that front seven that scares the living crap out of our opponent every Sunday. That's something really in the history of the franchise, we've never had that. So, again, another target for this offseason, those final pieces to put them over the top and not just, get them to the Super Bowl, but win it when they're there.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we can shift gears a little bit, I want to make sure we get Tony's talk in here before Jeff comes on. I'm going to go ahead and throw this ticker down on the bottom. Tony, just huge numbers. Go ahead and talk about that. I also have the revenue from the ticket raffle and then the winner of the jersey from Saturday night, if you want to talk about that, buddy.
Yeah, so once again, our meet and greet, we did a charity raffle. It was awesome. Again, Bengal Nation showed up, spent some money. We even had, it was kind of funny, we even had some of the pilot crew from, I do believe it's Delta that flies them around. Pilot came up to the stage and wanted to say a few words, and then he threw a couple $100 into the pot for the foundations that we were working with. So that was kind of cool to see. But we did a Burrow jersey. Thank you to Bengal Bids for donating that for us for the raffle. And then this lucky lady here won that raffle. She is from Cincinnati. And we ended up getting a little bit over $2,000 that night, which added to our $128,000 total that you see on the bottom of the screen. And then it did a couple things for us. One, it gave us our total that we were looking for the Hubbard Foundation for basically $9,400 that we were going to be donating. And then the rest of the funds that we earned, $1,780, will go to the Burrow Foundation. So 25 different charities this year were able to receive the funds that you guys and us were able to help get together for those charities. It's great. It's phenomenal. And I'm pretty sure, I guess, after today, we're going to hit the reset button on that. And we'll be talking over the next few months about what our plans are for next year and goals, and look forward to exceeding this amount. So I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thanks to our tailgate group and Who Day Nation, Bengal Nation, for everything that you guys have done for us this year from a charity perspective. And it's been phenomenal. And I hope I can continue this effort for next year.
So much fun. And again, from Burrow to Hubbard this past weekend was cool. And I don't know if everybody had a chance to see the two winners, the two females that won the tickets, the AFC Championship game. Very emotional and raw from when we did that live event. When was it? Last Wednesday night, I think. So that was very cool to see the excitement and the joy on their faces. One came in from Denver and the other one was from Ohio. So very cool. And as always, we thank you so much for Bengals fans' generosity throughout the year. We're going to hit that 130 before the year's over, before this year's over, hell or high water, and stay tuned and see how we can get to that 130K here before the end of this season.
James, piggybacking on that, I don't think everybody understands. Certainly the amount of work you guys put into everything we do, but the incredible amount of work, effort, and it's all from the heart that Tony has put in to all these charity endeavors this year. The, tireless work, contacts, constantly being on the phone, tweets, texts, emails, and then the actual physical work of getting it done and then getting out in the community. And then just when we're amazed with how much has been raised, fighting to get more. So, Tony might be, the MVP of the fans this year.
No doubt about that. Tom has a good point, or not a good point. A side note, we saw the Nigerian Nightmare at the casino. Kansas City fans familiar with Christian Okoye. I don't think
not true. Not true.
That's me. Better looking than the one Jimmy has. But he was very gracious. Ran into him. I think it was a Sunday night after the game, Jimmy, that we
that's a lot.
and super nice guy, man. That guy was a legend back in the day for the Chiefs, but very, very gracious. Talked to us for a couple of minutes before he headed up on the elevator. And
what did Jimmy sent me that picture. What did you say, Jimmy? The Nigerian Nightmare meets the Northgate Nightmare, something like that.
Jeez, please.
Oh, goodness.
All right, Tom. Jeff's getting his lighting taken care of. He's in the waiting room right now. So Jeff will be on just a second. We've got a ton of stuff to hit on with Jeff. But let's talk, Tom, on his Dayton Bengal history, January 30th, 1968, from Mr. Hobson's book, This Day in Cincinnati Bengal History. Paul Brown makes character count in the first Bengals draft pick. Who was that?
Bob Johnson.
Easy.
Bob
Too
Johnson,
easy.
who, for whatever reason, has, I don't even know if he's been nominated, but should be strongly considered and should be up on that Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Only able to ever have his number retired, he should be up on that Ring of Honor.
That's it. Maybe that's a good question for Jeff. So
it looks like Jeff's still working on his lighting. We appreciate him taking the time here at the end of the season to.
Poor guy hadn't slept.
Yeah, he's looks like he might be in a dungeon there, James. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
you're telling that to James?
No, James. The lighting's not great, but let's pull Butch on. Maybe that's as good as it's going to get.
All right, let's bring him on.
Jeff, you there, buddy?
Nope, he's muted. You got to unmute yourself, Jeff.
He's still figuring out the lighting here.
This was like when we had DJ Reader on at Jeff Ruby's. Just all as we could hear was the voice.
That's the only time. That's the only time I've ever been compared to DJ Reader.
There you are. Just stay underneath those street lights, Jeff. We'll be.
Yeah, I'm on the. You happen to catch me driving. I apologize, but people don't want to look at me anyway.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Jeff. Good point.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, hey, sorry. We appreciate you coming on, Jeff, man. It means a lot, man. We got so much stuff we want to run by, and we'll let Tom kick it off.
No, thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure. It's an honor to be with you guys.
Now, you know what? Here's the first question. Jimmy just asked a question like we always does on this date in history. One of the fans is asking, how do they buy that book? So what is the answer to that, Mr. Hobson?
Sir, I think if you go to Orange Fraser, if you go to the Orange Fraser website, okay. I think it's orangefraser.com, I think. It's available. I think it's also available in the Pro Shop, I believe.
All right. I'm going to pull up that website while you're talking, and then we'll also check the Pro Shop for those that are looking for that book. Tom, before I interrupt you, go ahead.
No. Butch, you talk about history. There's never been two back-to-back seasons like this in Bengals history. These were the two greatest years to root and love for our team. As terrible as any loss is, and we all know where the bar is now, especially with the quarterback we have, and that is the Super Bowl championship. How were the guys not just leaving the locker room, but after the plane ride? Do you still get that sense of unfinished business that, we're going to be ready to go next year?
Yeah, it's a pretty business-like group, Tom. They've been kind of, I think one of the reasons they got there is the way they reacted after they got there, which was, they were devastated. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I mean, that's you won't find anything more emotional than a locker room after a playoff loss, and this was no exception. I think, the only thing hanging in the air is, every team is different, so this is not going to be the exact same team. It may be quite different. So, but I think the core and what Zach has, what Zach has established, I think was on display. Probably not more, probably the most blatant example of that was B.J. Hill comforting Joseph Osai as he met the press after the penalty. So when you see stuff like that, I mean, you think they're they're going to be in this thing. They're going to be in it. It's not a they proved this year they're not a flash in the pan, and I think the sense is that they're going to get another shot at this.
Multiple shots, Jimmy.
Yeah, Jeff, I mean, there's so many different directions I want to go. I guess there's so many comments now in the chat area. I'll just kind of address this up front and what you're able to address and how you're able to address it, if you are at all. Obviously, you don't want to be in a situation late in the game where you let the referees, kind of potentially decide the game. But I mean, what was your take, your personal take, Butch, on some of the calls and no calls and things that obviously the social media, local and national media, are complaining about, and absolutely a lot of the fans?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to, you hate to be the guy that's going to complain about the refs, and you'd like to think they would have had a better handle on the game, so it didn't come down to that. That said, a guy I respect a lot, Ben Volin of the Boston Globe, he covers the NFL for the Boston Globe, a guy I respect. And he's got a story, he came out with a story today, probably something to be thought about how these mixed crews, this supposedly all-star crews, but they don't work together during the season. And I think that's a problem. I think, obviously, starting from that clock management thing, with the phantom third down, I just don't know. There just didn't seem to be any flow to the game from an officiating standpoint, and I wonder. Volin makes a very good point. I think you can make this point without sounding like sour grapes. You got to do better than that, and it may be time to, and it may be time to not do that. Whatever they rolled out there the other night, let's maybe do something a little bit different because, it's not supposed to be like that. But like I say, I'm not going to. You can't blame the officiating for that.
Right.
I just think there clearly was a problem. So let's fix it.
Yeah, hey Jeff, I think you know what I completely could have missed that all day yesterday on our drive, James and I on our drive home from Kansas City, and all day today. But I didn't realize. I forgot that it's mixed crews. These guys haven't worked together cohesively all year together. They worked on different groups and different teams. So that's one thing I don't think's been talked about enough on social media, to be honest.
Yeah, I just cohesively is the big word there. And it means a lot. I think it's clear that but you wish I don't know. They could have won it 8 different ways. It's always like that in a game like that. We all knew it was going to come down to that. The previous 3 games had. So, it was going to be a break. It was either going to be a call or a bounce of the ball or a tip, or that's what happens in those things, with a margin of error, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting, just a tough, it's all, you feel bad for, you just feel bad for everybody, and I feel bad the way the whole thing came down about how, it got a little bit, it wasn't the Bengals who were saying this stuff. It was social media. They were going about their business, and they get criticized for being mouthy and all this stuff. And, I don't know, the focus. And then there was the officiating, and the focus kind of got away from the game and the 2 teams. We're great. Geez, it was, that might have been the 2 best teams in the league, right? That might have been the 2 best teams in the league right there. That might have been the Super Bowl.
Agree.
And then, kudos to Zach Taylor. He was certainly fired up on the sideline Sunday night with everything that seemed to be going against us. But he just showed his class all night, post game, after. That's just what we've seen from Zach Taylor. So I think, as we know, great representative for the team and organization, and just again showed his class. Could have gone down a rabbit hole and really buried him, but did the up and up and like he's always done. As we do always on the show, send in your viewer questions. Your favorite fan from sunny Florida, Jeff, Mon asks, first of all, he said you're one of the greatest alumni out of Syracuse University ever. And then he continued.
Mon did not say that. I'm going to say that.
This is by far the best Bengals team ever. Would you agree with Mon in sunny Florida, Jeff?
Well, they didn't get to the Super Bowl, so it's hard to anoint them if they didn't get to the Super Bowl. It's a great question though. I mean, we were talking about that, the other day. I mean, what other team has, no Bengals team has won 10 in a row, right? No Bengals team has won 2 division titles in a row. No Bengals team has won 2 straight home playoff games. So, that all that is true, and they were 12-4, and they're one of 4 Bengals teams now to go 12-4, right? With the 2015 team, and then the two teams from the 80s. So it's a great question, but to me they didn't get to the I don't know, the 81 team. You got to go a long way to knock that 81 team off. I think that they made it to the they made it to the Super Bowl. And you certainly don't want to take any. I mean, these are there's no question. These are the 2 best. This is the best decade of Bengal football already, and we're only 3 years in. You know what I mean? That you can say, but if I'm not sure you can say it's the best team.
Okay. That's fair enough. When you talk about the great teams that we've had the last couple of years, the best decade, guess what happens? Other teams call and want your coaches. Jason asks, you see Coach Lou getting a head coaching job this cycle?
I'm not so sure. There's such an infatuation with offense. There's still for the beginning of time, and it's probably Paul Brown's fault. The head coach always seems to be an offensive guy. Who knows? If Paul Brown was a defensive guy, it might have been the other way. But I think that's where teams are now, and it's always tougher for a defensive guy to get a head coaching job. But he is certainly, I mean, he's getting a lot of play. I mean, the national media is really, and rightfully so, is pushing Lou for a job. But I think it's tougher. I think it's tougher for the defensive guy. It's maybe because I don't want him to leave, But remember how long Zimmer had to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Zimmer had to wait a while, and I hope Lou doesn't have to wait, and I hope he does have to wait. I'm kind of torn, but I think he's at a disadvantage because he's a defensive guy. But maybe not in Arizona. They went with a college offensive guy, right? Lou's the exact opposite. Hardcore defensive NFL guy. Maybe that's the way they want to go.
Yeah, they've tried that too there. But, Jeff, looking forward a little bit, we just mentioned when you're successful, teams call and want your coaches. When you're also successful and you don't have maybe the salary cap room to keep all the players you want, they want your players. From those big-name free agents, those consistent contributors, are there guys from that list that we're going to have to look to replace this year? Are there specific guys that you're worried about?
I just think it's tough to say because this thing is, it's such a moving target. It all probably. I mean, the first question is, do they do Burrow first so that can answer all sorts of questions and find out who fits where? I don't know because I think everything begins and ends right there. How much does he get? How and what? In what structure? And then, you got to go down the list of who do you keep? I mean, obviously they want to keep them all, but as you found out last year, they couldn't keep both B.J. Hill and Larry Ogunjobi, and they had to make a choice. Will they have to make a choice now? On some of these things, it's hard to say. I mean, they got 4 defensive starters are up, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got a guy in Dax Hill. Their 2 safeties are up. Best safety combination in the league. Tough to keep both of them. They got a guy that they drafted, Dax Hill. You know, anytime he played, but he didn't play a lot, but anytime he played, he was pretty impressive. How does that figure into the equation? That's got to be answered. You know, guys, you know, look at how they built this team. They built this team with somebody else's other players. And those are now other teams are looking at these guys. So, like that. Remember how the Bengals built this team? They wanted, which I thought was really a great job. One of the criteria they wanted to get free agents that were winners, you know. And they went out and got Reeder from a playoff Houston team, Von Bell from perennial playoff teams in New Orleans, Awuzie had played in Awuzie and Hilton had played in playoff games. You know, Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is, I think Trey Hendrickson has won his division like every year, I think. You know, so there are other teams looking at this guy, you know, and looking at that too, you know, and they're obviously the Bengals, you know, got a lot of winners on that roster now. But I don't know, fellas, it's tough. It's hard to say. I mean, how this thing breaks down because you got the quarterback room in there, you know, a big time quarterback that you know you're going to pay.
Yeah. Tying into the quarterback and coaches, we talked about losing Lou, but what about the extension for the quarterback coach?
Yeah, I think that's again, I think that's, you know, trying to make Burrow as comfortable as possible. You know, if they, you know, they don't want to lose two. You know, if Brian Callahan gets a head coaching job, you know, they don't want to lose another guy out of that. You know, I saw where Troy Walters has an interview. The wide receivers coach is being interviewed for the OC job. So, you know, you got to keep your people. You know, and I think that was a, you know, they went and got pitcher, signed him up, and I think that's smart. You know, I mean, very talented offensive staff, and it must be because all these guys are getting talked to.
Yeah. Jeff, I mean, let's talk a little bit about that offensive line and specifically, obviously, the Kansas City game, right? I know Sharping had his issues there at guard, right? Just a little bit overmatched there. But let's talk about Jackson Carman, Jeff. I mean, is it that big of a difference from guard because he was a left tackle in college? I mean, he was the highest graded, according to PFF. He was the highest graded offensive lineman for the Bengals in the game Sunday. His last couple games, he got to start at left tackle. He didn't do that bad. He actually did pretty damn good.
Well, I mean, that's what he is. You know, I mean, that's what he played in college, and he played it well enough that they won a national championship. And the guy he was blocking for, you know, was the number one pick in the draft. So he must have been doing something right. I think when this is tough. This is a tough part about playing in your hometown. There's a lot of pressure. Second round pick, a lot of pressure. And I think people just kind of poo-pooed it. And when they not only did they change his position, they changed his side. Not only did they change his side, but he had a back operation. You know? So, I mean, this guy did not come in exactly in ideal situations, you know? So I think people kind of jumped the gun on the kid and made some assessments that I don't think were correct. And, you know, let's see what happens. You can't king him now either. That's only 2 games. So, but the kid's very athletic. He works hard. You know, he's got some skins on the wall on that side of the ball. You know, I think this is what they expect of the guy. Now, where that fits in next year, I don't know. That's going to be an interesting situation. You know, how do they groom him? Do they, you know, I think he looks like he's real natural on the left side. You know, so, and then you've got on the other side. You know, what do you do? I think they think LC, Lyle Collins, will be back. He tore his ACL. I think they think he'll be okay. But, you know, what do you do? What do you do at right tackle to make sure there as LC comes back? So, but yeah, Jackson Carman. I mean, I think that's, and remember they drafted him when he was 21 years old. That's tough. I don't know what you guys were doing at 21. When I was 21, I could barely tie my shoes. So, but that's the era we live in. That's the era we live in. If he doesn't come out in spring ball and wow the world, well, he's awful. The world's awful. The whole thing's bad. Well, let's give it a few.
With you, James.
Yeah, fair enough. A lot of people agree with you. You know, was that sample size big enough? You know, some people think it was, but it's nice to know that that's a potential plug-in if Jonah goes down the way. Here's a question from Steve Joseph. As we know, last year we used the franchise tag on Jesse Bates. Somebody asked, would we use the franchise tag on Jermaine Pratt? From what I saw today, $20 million. That's a whole lot of ducats there. So back to Steve's question: do you see us using it this year on any particular player?
They would prefer not to, and I think they'd rather get some long-term deals done. But again, we'll see what happens. They'll try to make some deals. If they can't make some deals, maybe they come back to the tag. We're real early in this thing, so like I say, they want to make. I'm sure they're going to be working. They're going to be working overtime between now and the free agency deadline.
Yep. Lots of time here. Tom, go ahead with your next question.
Yeah, Butch, you just mentioned, if a guy doesn't look good in spring ball, he's a bum, get rid of him. I can remember the days where, Paul Brown used to talk about, they'd say, how'd the draft go? And the response was commonly, ask me in 2 years and I can tell you how this year's draft went. Because we drafted this guy to develop and, succeed a guy who right now is 29, 30 years old. Is salary cap, and this comes to the Bengals, is the salary cap going to become so tight that the draft is going to be even more imperative, that Duke Tobin simply can't miss those first 2-3 rounds? We're going to have to draft guys that are inexpensive and can be major contributors.
I think that's going to be part of the equation because of the quarterback contract. So, I think that's going to cut into what you would do in free agency. I think that's just natural. And people hate to hear this. This is the one thing people hate to hear. But when you sign your own guy, that's not treated with the same fanfare as when you sign a Hendrickson or a Ted Karras but it might be just as it's just as valuable. It's like signing a guy in free agency. I think this is where we're at. This is where we're at now. The big free agent signings are going to be their own, and they should be. You want to keep Joe Burrow. You want to keep Jamar Chase. You want to keep T. Higgins. You want to keep Logan Wilson. You're going to have to really grind, and those are going to be just as big as signing DJ Reader and Trey Hendrickson. So yeah, you do. Bottom line is, yeah, sure. You better hit your draft picks. Because but in theory, you are delving into free agency when you keep your own. So, right. But yeah, but I think, and also too, this team's basic, the core philosophy is they build through the draft. So yes, you have to hit when you have that philosophy, you have to, you got to do it. I dare say that this decade has been, Tom, what do you think? The best draft decade? It's got to be the best. First of all, Burrow, so that automatically makes it, right, the best decade. But you throw Jamar Chase, Evan McPherson, T. Higgins, Logan Wilson, Cordell Volson, Dax Hill, Cam Taylor-Britt. Pretty good decade. That's a pretty good decade.
Jeff, if they stay healthy and they all stay here, I think maybe this roster right now has 3 Hall of Famers on it. 2 of them play wide receiver. The other one's a quarterback. Right. But kind of following up with that, the core starts and ends with Joe Burrow. We all know that. And we were talking before you came on, while the line was improved, and who doesn't? Cincinnati's in love with Ted Karras. Alex Kappa is one tough guy. But you know what? When push came to shove in the biggest games, we couldn't stop an Aaron Donald. We couldn't stop a Chris Jones. And to win a Super Bowl, you got to stop those guys. Do you think the powerful magnifying glass is still on that offensive line? Is it?
I think it's on everything. I think it's on the line. It's on scheme. It's on play calling. I think everything is under when at the end of every year, I think everything's on the table. How much more? How much more can they do? How much more can they do to that line? You can always improve everything. Get a lot invested there already. But what they're going to be picking, 29, 30? They're picking 30, right?
28.
28. Okay.
27th because of the Dolphins.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, that's I just think that, I just think it's you just can't, yes, they couldn't block Chris Jones. Is that, they also were playing, to me, it's just not players. It's a little bit of everything, So they got to get more. They probably got to get more players up there. How do you do it? Like I said, they've already invested so much. They've they've invested top picks. They've paid big money in free agency. But I think in this era, that's what you have to do. I think you have to. I know defense wins championships, but when you got Joe Burrow, you better invest in wide receivers and offensive line.
That's right.
So,
Well, Jeff,
I would expect another off season where they'll probably get a guy or two either in the draft or probably in the draft. I would think, but those are it's a prime spot, and I think that's in this decade. Well, what's the one thing that's been proven? It's a game of trenches. It's a game. The quarterback. You got to have the quarterback, but you better have the trenches. And I think I see him going back to both lines.
Yep. Jeff, we'll let you get just a couple more quick questions for you. We'll let you get out of the garage here in the car, man. Sorry about that, buddy.
That's all right.
I hope the garage door is open.
Yeah, it's a carport. It's great. It's a great thing.
Hey, so talk about I don't know. I'm hoping if you've seen this or not, but the fans, the excitement in this city has been like we've never seen it before with the fan base, not just locally, but across the country, internationally. We've been to most all the away games, and some of the crowds that we've been seeing, the Bengals fans travel, Tampa Bay, Buffalo, this Kansas City, this past week, I think we had, I don't know, James, what do you think, 5,000 people at that tailgate maybe? Does the franchise, the team, or you guys see any of that, what's going on in the city and what's going on with the Bengal fans traveling?
Oh, I think Elizabeth Blackburn's been all over that. I think Elizabeth Blackburn is one of the reasons for it. Somebody in our building. I think she's had terrific influence in that. They realize it, and I think we've documented it. I think the Bengals have really been. I think they get it, Jim. I think with your help, you see it. Fair to say this is the high tide of Bengaldom, isn't it? I know it's odd to say in a year they didn't go to the Super Bowl, but I almost feel like they did because I think they played the eventual Super Bowl champions and almost beat them again for the second year in a row. And they did so many things that they had never done before. To me, this is the. The only thing that's missing is a parade. And think about that in this town. Because there's no question. Cincinnati. Look at the schools. The Friday after. The Friday, the people dressing up. It's fabulous. It's become a fabric. Literally become a fabric of the community in the last couple of years. It's more than ever. It always has been. It's always been. The Bengals have always been important here. But
Jeff, I was at a church today, and there was a big sign out in front of it, Houday, with a Bengal tiger head on it, and then right next to the church where the priest's rectory was a big Bengal flag still flying. So it's all over. It's no other entity in this town can do for the people and the enthusiasm and the camaraderie what the Bengals have done. Everybody's been in a good mood. Everybody's smiling at each other, saying "Houday," holding doors. Yeah. Nothing affects this town in such a positive way as when its football team is winning the way the Bengals have been winning.
And I think that's a tribute to the people who live in Cincinnati because it's a great town to live, and it's also a tribute to those guys in that locker room who are a special bunch of guys. A big reason of that is because it's such a likable team. It's a team you want to embrace. You want to grab a Joe Mixon. You gotta love a Jamar Chase. A Teddy Karras, a DJ Reader. It's a Sam Hubbard, a hometown guy. It's such a likable such a likable group of guys, and they, it's a great story. I mean, it's still, and it's not over. It's gonna keep, it's gonna keep going.
That's right. I think the foundation, like you had talked about, the youth. There's a whole nother foundation of young Bengal fans that have just they're gonna be black and orange the rest of their lives on this. But the last question we'll leave you with, and Tom and I have been talking weekly, if not close to be daily, about the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and we expect to hopefully hear something this week or Thursday at least next week. I think when they do the announcement on Ken Riley. What are you hearing? Any positive news you're able to share with us? But this is something, Big Willie and Ken Riley, I know we're getting close. We think Ken Riley's going to get in this year, but this is all going to be coming down here next week and a half, it sounds like, right?
I'll be out there, Jim. I'd be out there. It's going to be announced Thursday night at the Super Bowl. I'll be there. If you want to know, Bengals.com right when it's announced. Because I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We got to have fingers crossed. I mean, the deal. The deal. It would be an upset if a senior finalist does not make it. That would be an upset. But so let's hopefully we've had our one upset. Let's hope we had our one upset for the month.
Butch, and thank you for that. You've worked tirelessly for all our Bengal alumni. There's so many of those guys that deserve to be in Canton. But can you go over for us, the Bengal fans that, have wanted this so long, what is the procedure this year? I know it's been changed because of COVID and so forth. You said it's Thursday night. Is there a door knock? Are they going to be in Arizona? How will the people find out, and when will they find out?
I guess some of the guys probably. Well, I think. Well, they're all going to know. I guess they're all going to know by Thursday, by Feb 9. They're going to know before then because they got to get there for the unveiling. For the whoever makes it is I would imagine has got to be there. Not have to be there, but they can be there because there will be a news. They're going to announce it at NFL Honors on Thursday, and then there'll be a news conference following that. So that's the timeline on Thursday night out of Arizona. So and then Friday is the annual Hall of Fame luncheon out there, and at the Super Bowl, and that's kind of the timeline. So that's and then induction is in August.
Yep, that's we'll be so you heard everybody. Jeff, just pay attention to Bengals.com. Follow Jeff. We're going to know. We'll be the first to know once Jeff knows, man. But we're looking forward to getting Kenny in there, and hopefully Willie can get in there as well. So Jeff, we appreciate your time. It means a lot, man. To sit in your carport, man, in the cold, and we appreciate it, but it means a lot.
It means a lot to have you ask me to come on. Please, I'll come on anytime you guys ask. You guys do a great job, and let's keep our fingers crossed and say a prayer if it can.
That's right, brother.
We appreciate that, Jeff, and you are right. We did post the link in the comments, orangefraser.com. Your book is available there, along with some other great books about the Bengals. So if anybody wants that, orangefraser.com, you can get Jeff's book.
Thank you for the plug. I think at some point it's going to need a heavy rewrite.
Thanks, Jeff.
Go Orange.
Thanks, Butch.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. See you soon.
Good day, buddy. Nobody gives better insight than that man. Let me tell you, he's the best.
Yeah, very thankful for him to come on. It's never tough after the season's over, and first class all the way. So
there is one thing I want to hit on real quick. I want to be clear. I know I posted something, and there's been 4 or 5 comments in the chat. I'm sorry, that's not the one I wanted to shoot. Somebody had said something about the comment about the referee's son placing a bet. Something.
I don't know if that's true.
It is not. It is not true. It was a fake account. I posted it as if I knew that was BS, but Ron Tolbert was also from Cleveland, kind of a joke. That is not true, guys. That is just a parody account. It's a joke. I posted it. My first comment was, "This is BS," but So that is not true. There's been a number of comments in the chat area about that. So that is not accurate. That is not true. That account is a parody account, just kind of stirring a pot a little bit. I did share that and did say that my first comments were, I know this is BS, but
there you go, Jim. Spreading rumors. Good job.
It's,
there's like a federal investigation into the reffing.
Right. Yeah, we got the FBI and everything involved in this damn thing. We're going to get this shit straightened out. So
this is why we block you from your own show sometimes. The shit you stir.
Hey, when you stir the pot, good stuff happens, man. You never know. But it's too funny. Let's go ahead and here we go.
It's the 2 minute warning.
There it is, Harrison.
Man, singing it.
Yeah, just singing it.
All right, Tom.
Kick us off, brother.
It was a great run, an incredible season, and it's not over. These are the type of feelings. Get ready for a football generation. The Bengals are not going away. And in fact, I think they're going to fine-tune to make another strong run to Las Vegas for next year. Bengal fans, stay tuned. Ken Riley should have been in the Hall of Fame long ago. We're very hopeful now. Now we heard it from Jeff, Jimmy. A week from Thursday, at some point, we will find out and get confirmation that he's going in. Willie Anderson should have been in a long time ago. Hopefully, he's going in too. And if not, trust me, we won't be giving up, and we will be backing Willie Anderson and Ken Anderson next year to get them in. So it's going to be an active offseason. We'll be talking about the show here very shortly as to what our schedule is going to be. But Bengal season does not stop. It goes 365, 52 weeks, and a lot of that is from you guys. And thank you to all of you for making the show possible, tuning in, and then the enthusiasm, win or lose, you show us, picking us up when they're down, picking us up when one of us goes to prison, and all the offers to either break him out or bail him out. And hopefully when we're on next, we'll have Jamie out. And I don't know if we want to hear some of the stories James and I have been getting from prison, but nonetheless, hopefully he'll be with us. Jimmy?
Here, I'll go before Jimmy. We'll let the boss. And in the top corner there, you see Cincy Beer Fest. Our buddy Craig, everybody knows Craig, just a huge part of what we do at the tailgate. He has his big beer fest this weekend for those in Cincinnati, downtown at the convention center. I want to give him a plug. And in the comments right now is a link. If you want to purchase tickets, bring the family that's over 21 down, and enjoy some adult beverages. But there's so many people that go into the tailgate. Craig's a very integral part of what we do for those that purchase tickets. Matter of fact, for Saturday in Kansas City, Party, his ticketing platform, he's very generous to let us use for those type of things. And if you go out and support him this Saturday, I think it's Friday and Saturday, cincybeerfest.com. Find out all the particulars there about what he has going on. Tom, you said it. It's going to be an interesting offseason, between Burrow's contract. Do people like Mixon stay? Do people like Tyler Boyd stay? Do we franchise anybody? We asked those questions to Jeff. It's, the draft coming up. It's the NFL does one thing right, and it basically makes you think football 52 weeks out of the year. And especially off the excitement of this year, it's been a lot of fun. What's that old saying? Don't be sad that it's over, be glad that it happened. And, it was a great season, something all of us fans should be very proud of, the way they've represented it, whether it was at games, at a tailgate, or from across the pond in Europe. Bengals fans are there, and the NFL sees it, and it's a lot of fun. This ride is enjoyable. I think we have a bright future ahead, and we'll be back next year. Tom, you also said about the off-season schedule. Stay tuned on that. We'll be posting that on social media. Just because the season's over doesn't mean we'll be off the air. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about, like the free agency, like the draft, like the Hall of Fame, with Ken Riley.
I think we can say we'll be here next week, though, right, Jimmy?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so
even if it's just me and you, we hope James can make it. I think he'll be in town.
Yeah.
So
tune in next week because there is still a lot we do in the off season, whether it's the Jungle to the Hall stuff and as Tom said, the Ken Riley, Willie Anderson stuff. So as always, thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to our fearless leader.
Yeah, I mean, I just appreciate again. Just I know Tony couldn't stay on the whole show tonight, but thanks. There's so many people that go into working on these charity things. All of us have been working really hard on that, but bringing it to the table, and you guys stepping up has been amazing. You guys have been awesome, guys. I'm just going to tell you, this has probably been the most fun This has been the best back-to-back season Cincinnati Bengals have ever had. Back-to-back, winning record, AFC Championship, Super Bowl, guys. And I didn't even think about this, Tom, when Jeff was talking about we're starting off this decade. This may be the best decade in Cincinnati football history. And we're all at the beginning, and we're here for this ride. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning of how this is going to turn out here. And can you imagine how pissed off Joe Burrow is, how he felt after that game? Guys, I got a feeling these guys are going to be ready to go next year. The Bengals organization is going to fill some holes. They're going to make some very tough decision that's right for the team's future here very soon about who they're keeping, who they're not. Let's see what they do in free agency and the draft, because I'm excited about what they're doing, because they have shown a lot of things here the past 3 or 4 years about getting this draft right. Free agency has been amazing what they've been participating in. Now let's keep building this thing. Let's get back to the AFC Championship next year, but let's do it and play it here in Cincinnati. I don't care who we play. I want that AFC Championship game here in Cincinnati next year. So, guys, we love you. Thanks for tuning in. It means a lot. The next Tuesday, we'll give you more specifics on our schedule for the rest of the season, but we've kind of laid out a roadmap for what we're going to be doing in the offseason here. We're not going away. There's going to be things we're going to be doing, some special events and things going on all offseason. So thank you, guys. We appreciate you. We'll see you next Tuesday. Good day, everybody.